Today's top story, President Biden, who's surrounded by Secret Service members with guns to protect him, and who also controls a military heavily armed with guns, wants to take your guns, because guns are bad. Why is this a good thing? Stay tuned to find out. It's kind of like rules for thee, but not for me. Know what I mean? President Biden has signed 6 executive orders on gun control. This comes after the mass shooting in Colorado. The Biden administration, instead of shamelessly offering their condolences to the victims and their families, sees the tragedy as an opportunity to further their political agenda of gun control. And they did so with such blinding speed that it's almost as if they had everything in place and were just waiting for the right tragedy to take advantage of. Which shows how much they care. Some people are opposed to the Biden administration implementing stricter gun control laws, believing that authoritative powers with guns trying to take your guns is one of the reasons why you need guns. But not if the powers that have guns that are taking your guns are doing so for your protection. Some people can be so short-sighted. Some also believe that gun control laws won't deter criminals, because criminals, by definition, don't obey laws. These naysayers state things like, if Hunter can't follow gun laws, then why would any other criminal? The Second Amendment states that a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. But the plot thickens, because in speaking of the Second Amendment recently, President Biden said, "No amendment is absolute." This is heartwarming news, because most freedom-loving people feel safer when their constitutional rights are infringed on. And of course the Second Amendment is not absolute, because if you read the fine print, you'll see it applies to a free state. I don't think that's what we're doing here anymore. In the left's completely ideal gun control agenda, which again is for your protection, President Biden has signed 6 executive orders on gun control. One of which is the Model Red Flag Law. This executive order allows police and the courts to strip a person of their firearms without evidence or probable cause, and requires the person prove their innocence in order to get them back. That's a big one. I really can't stress that one enough. That's a big one. And it's for your protection. On the matter, Tim Kennedy, a Green Beret and Special Forces sniper, took to Instagram to share a history lesson on what happens when governments take weapons from the people. Along the way, he pointed out that the power shifts from the people, where it's supposed to be, to the government, where it's not supposed to be. In the video, Tim Kennedy shared examples throughout history to back up his point. For example, in 1911, Turkey established gun control, and from 1915 to 1917, 1.5 million Armenians were murdered. In 1929, the Soviet Union established gun control, and from 1929 to 1953, 20 million dissidents were killed. In 1935, China established gun control, and from 1948 to 1952, 20 million citizens were systematically killed. This just in! China also currently has an active genocide happening against its unarmed citizens. In 1938, Germany established gun control, and from 1939 to 1945, they killed 13 million Jews and other Europeans. Furthermore, history also has it that Guatemala established gun control in 1964. And from 1964 to 1981, 100,000 Mayan Indians were rounded up and killed. Uganda established gun control in 1970, and from 1971 to 1979, 300,000 Christians, unable to defend themselves, were killed. Cambodia established gun control in 1956, and from 1975 to 1977, 1 million people were exterminated. In Rwanda, strict gun control laws went into effect in 1979, and in 1994, 800,000 people were killed in just 100 days. And by the way, They use propaganda from mainstream media outlets to fuel and justify the genocide. Luckily, on Tim Kennedy's post, who has risked his life on many occasions and seen many of his friends die in combat in order to protect the American people, had his post labeled partly false by independent fact checkers. Because luckily the fact checkers came out to protect the American people from Tim Kennedy protecting them. When clicking for more information, you learn there is no direct link between gun control and authoritarian regimes. Of course there's no direct link, aside from the previous examples of Turkey, the Soviet Union, China, Germany, Guatemala, Uganda, Cambodia, and Rwanda, but also not even those. With more bravery than Tim Kennedy, the independent fact checkers are protecting the American people from history when they say there is no direct link between gun control and authoritarian regimes. These are independent fact checkers, so you have nothing to worry about. Common wisdom has it that if you don't learn from history, it'll repeat itself. But even better, now we're learning from fact checkers that history hasn't happened. And it's really hard for history to repeat itself if it hasn't even happened yet. In fact, you can learn more about these independent fact checkers when you click Learn More, which I did. Reducing the spread of false information on Instagram. Who doesn't love the thought police? Then you see these third-party fact checkers are certified through the nonpartisan International Fact-Checking Network. Well, I wanted to learn more, so I clicked on that. Now you're on Pointer.com, the International Fact-Checking Network's website. Then just for fun, I typed in major funders in their search function, and a page called Major Funders came up on their site. So I clicked on that. And that reveals a list of the largest funders of Pointer, who again are the ones certifying independent fact checkers who fact-checked Tim Kennedy on Instagram and everyone else all over social media. And I, for one, was curious who the largest funders of the International Fact-Checking Network are. So I scrolled down a little bit and I saw Facebook. Facebook owns Instagram, and Instagram's independent fact checkers are certified through an organization that Facebook funds. And they're the ones that labeled Tim Kennedy's post partly false, saying there's no direct link between gun control and authoritarian regimes. Now that might make you start to think that if an authoritarian regime was trying to confiscate everyone's weapons so they could more easily take out anybody that opposes them, as history shows happens, then they could be trying to control free speech through their partnership with big tech with all their censorship and fact-checking. And then it could look like they're using their control of free speech to monopolize everyone's attention onto their propaganda about how giving up gun rights protects everyone. And then it would look like their ability to disarm the population would be much easier. But if it seems that way to you, you are wrong, because these are independent fact checkers, which makes this whole scheme impossible. Because it says right here, independent. Now that's not a word worth looking into like I did. So odds are this whole scenario isn't happening. The fact checkers are here for your protection, and Biden wants to take your guns for your protection. And I'm controlling how you think about this for your protection. The great comedian Dave Chappelle once said, "The First Amendment is first for a reason. The Second Amendment is just in case the first one doesn't work out." Well, Dave, the first one isn't working out so well. But luckily, now we're taking away the second. So with our full report tonight, now your brain can conclude it's good to have your gun rights taken away because it's for your protection. That's it for tonight. Tune in tomorrow for our full report on how volunteering for an upcoming genocide will protect you and your family. Good night. Oh man, the stats are in. Would you believe some people still believe what we tell them? Well, on the other hand, if you think like me, which means you do your own thinking and freedom's important to you, then you might enjoy my new Freedom line of merch on my website. You can check it out at awakenwithjp.com. You might find something to help you flex your freedom.